Hello, what's up everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Adventure with Roger. Today I'm starting a brand new playlist. We're going to do something a little bit different, and this playlist is going to be dedicated for ideas for making great MMORPGs, and will host an abundance of ideas for what I think would make amazing MMORPGs. We are going to call this playlist Tomorrow's New MMORPGs. Please don't hesitate to like, comment, and subscribe. I'd love to know your thoughts. I'm trying vigorously to expand my horizons and grow my channel. Thank you so much for watching. Let's get right into it, shall we? Alright everybody, first up on the list for tomorrow's next MMORPG is a game that I call the Alpha Centauri Corp. Now the Alpha Centauri Corp is a company based here on Earth about 300 years into the future. And what happened is they actually invented a machine kind of like a replicator from Star Trek, and they basically solved most of the problems we have here on Earth. Not all of the problems, but a lot of the things we have, like poverty and starvation, and a lot of the countries that we have is almost a thing of the past. They've invented a ton of new technology. One of the leaders of the Alpha Centauri Corp is the great-great-grandson of Elon Musk. He kind of took in his father's footsteps right there, and he's one of the main people on the board of Alpha Centauri Corp. I just want to go over a little bit here about the game premise and lore a little bit more. So basically what happens is that the population on Earth, because everybody is super happy, is multiplying to exponentially, so we are no longer able to have just Earth alone take care of all the people. We're actually outgrowing it significantly. So Alpha Centauri Corp gets the idea that they are going to actually send a spaceship to the Alpha Centauri system, which is about 4.24 light years away from here us on Earth. Now basically what happens is the Alpha Centauri Corp actually makes it there. They set up a base camp on the planet. They find that it is actually inhabitable, and they start to do basically a terraforming project there on Alpha Centauri. Now the problem is that obviously there are already some inhabitants there on Alpha Centauri. They are a cybernetic species, and they have a lot of monsters that live on the planet as well, who also have cybernetic implants. Now your role as the player of Alpha Centauri Corp is to travel in one of the next expeditions to the planet, and there you will find yourself in the unique role to pick, basically make your own character and pick whether or not you want to fight for the corporation, or if you want to then venture off and join basically the quote-unquote native species and kind of fight for their side of things. Now it doesn't really matter which side you decide to take. Both sides will have an equal amount of technology and cool stuff that they can deal with. I just want to go over real quick also that since there isn't a lot of people on Alpha Centauri yet, obviously you will be one of the first colonists there, and there will be quote-unquote again a small government that you will have to deal with, because there are no basic leaders of Alpha Centauri yet except for the man, which basically is the Alpha Centauri Corp itself. So as there becomes more and more people on the planet, you eventually want to set up a government, and this will be handled by the players itself. There will be a small interface in which players will be able to cast their vote on which player they actually want to set up in different the roster of governmental things, like mayors of towns, governors of certain states and whatnot, as the territories progress. Now, as one of the voters, you will actually be able to have a chance to run for those positions as well. After someone gets elected into the position, then that particular player will have an interface set up in their HUD that will let them set certain, I don't know if I want to say taxes, but we'll say taxes for lack of the better word at the exact moment, of certain territories, which will be you know, there will be a slider bar and they'll be able to set it, but not all the way to the right, if you know what I mean. There will be a small increments that they'll be able to set that in, and that money that they get from that will then be used to upgrade certain areas of the map in certain ways that will have a unique effect on whether or not people will want to vote for that person in the future. So that person will have to be very diplomatic in the way that they decide to spend that money and upgrade certain things so that they can get re-voted. Everything has to be political, am I right? It's just another neat aspect that I always wanted to see inside of an MMORPG that I don't think any of us have ever seen before. So that's something that I'm looking forward to in the future. Now that also will be set up for both different factions. Both different factions will have the right to vote for the people that are currently governing them, and their spots on the map will be indicated by different color codes. So the one faction, say the corporation, will all be in like a blue. More native aspect of planet Alpha Centauri will be more of like in a green. And so the different territories will intermingle on the map, and when you pass in and out of those territories during the open world gameplay, it will give you a notification letting you know that you have passed into that area and you can be attacked at any time. And we'll get into a little bit more of the PvP aspect of the game, because it's not that you can just be walking along and all of a sudden you can get attacked by anybody, because that's not the type of game that I would want to play by any means. That would be a very niche game in which there are quite a few out there in which anywhere you go at any time you can get attacked by someone, but that's not the idea I had in mind for this game. And we'll get into PvP a little bit later, like I said. So let me get into a little bit of number 2 now for the gameplay and the open world aspect of Alpha Centauri. So the game will set place on a planet, and it will have all kinds of diverse biomes. So you will have rainforests, and you'll have volcanic areas, and you'll have islands and oceans and meadows and mountainous areas, whatever you can think of. There will be a wide diversity on the map itself. And last but not least, you will have large cavernous areas and underground areas that you will be able to explore. And the reason for the cavern areas is because Alpha Centauri itself isn't basically on the same rotation or axis that Earth would be, and it's actually much closer to its sun than Earth is. So as it spins on its axis, half of the world will not be inhabitable during certain times of the day, and at other times of the day you will be able to explore those areas of the map, which will then tie into the more faction-based PvP, where you will want to be in a certain area at a certain time of the day, and it will force you to conflict with each other during those times of the day to get into certain territories, whether it's for resources or whatever it might be at that exact time. So basically, during certain times of the day, half of the planet or part of the planet will be under extreme temperatures, part of the planet will be under ideal conditions. And during the times when it is under extreme conditions, that's when those underground cavernous areas could come into play, and you could explore those during those times. So let's get into a small example of what it would be like to work for the Alpha Centauri Corp. First off, you would be given a small plot of land close to the Corp itself. You would be able to start off with a small base there with the building tools that would be given to you, kind of like pieces here and there, and as you expand your skills, it would allow you to then unlock new recipes and find things around the world that would unlock new recipes to give you more and new advanced building techniques. So to start off, you would be able to build something very basic with 4 walls, a roof over it, a heating source, whatever that might be, because we have, like I said, new advanced technologies out there that you wouldn't have to resort to just a campfire, for instance. You probably could if you wanted to. Anyways, you would have something very basic, a plot of land, and you would be able to set up your technologies on your base and help the company through whatever means they would allow you to help out with. So the first thing you would want to do is set up a piece of technology called the bore. Now the bore is going to be a giant, basically, bore or drill of sorts, and it would be set up on your base. And what happens is you have a piece of technology and a headset that you're going to wear, and you're going to go out exploring with your mining technology that you're going to have, and it's going to be like a little readout that you're going to be able to pull up on your arm right here, a little display, and you're going to go out and you're going to look for a good spot for your bore to mine. Now, the mining in this game is going to be the basis for your currency, and also the basis for how you're going to build up your skills. So what's going to happen is you're going to go out and you're going to find a good spot where you have measured a high rating, your scope of where there are good minerals in that area. Then you're going to get on your headset and you're going to call in your bore. The bore is then going to take off like a rocket out of your base, and you will see it fly up into the air, into the stratosphere. It will turn around and come back down and crash into the ground at the location you have set it up at. Now, as soon as it hits the ground, you can hit the on switch, whatever that might be, and it will start to bore into the ground, and it will then produce minerals and whatnot. And you will take those minerals and you will put them into your little hover cart, which we will then cover into, well, we are basically already into number 3. We're talking about the bore. The hover cart will be the thing that, one of the things that will allow you to travel around the planet and collect your resources and then take them back to your base. Now the hover cart will be unlocked to you basically almost immediately after you're done with the tutorial of the game. You will be granted one of these. The bore starts to bore and drill into the planet, and as you are collecting the resources to take them and put them into your hover cart, you then get attacked by indigenous monsters, which absolutely positively hate the sound of the bore and the fact that it is shaking the ground. So you will have to set up defenses for yourself at the bore. Now, as you gather resources from continuously doing this, you will be able to make upgrades to the bore itself that will give it automated defense systems, as well as the fact that you're going to be stocked, locked, and ready to go yourself. You will be able to fend off these monsters. Now, the bigger the technology, the bigger the bore, the more advanced that you get your skills up with the bore technology, the more monsters that will attack you, the more defenses you will have to have. Now, if you decide that you're going to be one of those players that makes a guild, and you decide that you're going to get a bunch of your buddies together and you're going to focus on getting the biggest bore you can possibly get, and one of you specializes in bore technology, you will then be able to form a raid bore group. And basically what's going to happen is when you drop this thing down, there will be an area that will set up, and all these monsters will start to come out of the woodwork, and you will be able to start a 5, 10, 15, or 20 man group, and you will be able to defend this thing, and you will get certain quote unquote rewards. Is the word I was looking for. Big rewards for completing this set amount of time of defense of this bore, as well as you will be able to spec into a line that allows you to set up defenses, whether it would be walls, automated EMP burst technology, lasers, energy cannons, anything you can basically think of that would be cool to put it into the defense of the bore itself. And I think there could definitely be different skill lines that would allow you to raise your level on these automated systems, and then definitely have you go towards, something like you want to be more into the automated turret systems, or do you want to be more into the AoE effects, or do you want to be more into the wall building, and you will be able to spec into those lines and raise your abilities in those lines. Now the minerals and ores and algae and oxygen and everything else that comes along with the boar getting these materials for you to be able to terraform the planet and raise your skills and technology, as well as be able to just sell these minerals on an open marketplace. Now, the open marketplace is something that can make or break any MMORPG. If you have one set clan or guild that is mining all the resources in one area above everyone else, then they have kind of like a monopolizing effect that can happen on a game. So my idea for that would be have the minerals and stuff where you can only set between certain prices on certain minerals, and then everybody has to abide by that amount of otherwise that one said guild would be able to just charge, you know, like 10,000 credits for one piece of ore because they're the only ones that are currently technologically advanced enough to go get that certain ore or material. So you wouldn't want that to be the case because that would be crazy, right? Currency, you always want your currency in your game to stay meaningful. There's too many MMORPGs out there right now that has had their currency become so diluted by the fact that they sell kits online that allow you to then sell them in the game for currency in the game, which totally dilutes their currency. And then because of that fact, people think the game is pay to win, or it dilutes the game itself to where people are then able to buy way more of certain things than they should be able to buy, which ruins the whole economy of the game right off the bat. So that's something we definitely wouldn't want to introduce into our game, or any game for that matter. I mean, as soon as you do things like that, it's just a countdown to when is your game going to fail, or when are you going to lose your entire player base based on the fact that the currency in your game that they've been trying to get the whole time is now not worth near as much as it was. So that's a huge problem with today's MMOs. The creators of the games get greedy, they only care about their bottom dollar, and when they start to see their player base decline, instead of coming out with new, awesome, outrageous content that will make people want to play their game more, what they do is they milk the community for every last dollar. And you can see that so many times in the MMORPG genre, and that's why the games themselves are starting to become extinct. Anyways, sorry about that little rant. Let's get back to Alpha Centauri. Okay, so let me talk about player inventory real quick. I don't want players to be able to just carry as much as they want all over the planet. That wouldn't make any sense. So let's go back and talk a little bit more about the vehicles, the hover cart, and how much people will actually be able to hold on their person. So due to various technological advances in our society here on Alpha Centauri, you will be able to carry a little bit more than the average human would be able to carry. There will be a weight limit, however, which will be able to be expanded through skill use. However, the main way that I would want people to be able to take things from one place to another would be with this really cool hover cart that you will be able to take your ore and minerals and upgrade the hover cart itself through various different lines. Now, when you interact with the hover cart itself, there will be about 3 to 5 different lines that you will be able to spec into. You will not be able to spec into all 5, because I want to see diversity through different aspects of the game. So one of the skill-based lines will be to increase the weight. One will be to increase the speed. One would be to increase, say, the amount of how high it will be able to hover. And so certain players will be able to reach certain areas with their hover cart that other players won't be able to reach. Or maybe you could have various different hover carts that you will be able to take with you in certain situations. but you will not be able to take more than one at any given time. So say you want to go out and explore this mountainous region with your buddies, you would be able to put possibly 2 or 3 people in one hover cart, go out and take the one that is allowed to reach certain higher levels of elevation. You take 2 hover carts, you take 4 to 6 buddies with you, you go out into an area, you call in for your boar, it lands, you set up your automated defenses, you get your ore, you put it in the hover carts. Now you have to plan your route back to your bases without getting attacked by other players. Now this all comes to a very fine line that we can cross here that can get a little bit epic in nature when we come to start talking about PvP. However, I want to go into number 4 now when we start talking about PvP. I do not want to see a level cap on this game. I'm going to tell you why. I have this planned out already. When you put a level cap on a game, it leads people to want to hit that level cap, and then what happens is people start to lose interest, or they think they've gone as far as they can go, and that's something I want to avoid completely in this game. Now, are you going to continue to become more and more powerful the more you level up? The answer is yes, to a point. Now, you will gain very small incremental stat increases as you level up your character. Now, when it comes to why this can become outbalanced, I know exactly what you're thinking. What if I am a new player and this level 100 comes up and decides he wants to give me a smackdown? What's that to prevent that from happening? Well, that's a very good question. I'm going to address that right now. When you're in certain areas of the open world, the only way PvP can ensue is if the lower level character first initiates the PvP on the higher level character. Now, if you want to just PvP, there will be areas in which you can go to do that. The level 100, the level 200, however high a player wants to go and put the time into that, he can go and then start to go and destroy people in certain PvP areas. Now, in the open world itself, like I said, the level 10 could initiate a PvP on a level 11. So once the level 10 initiates the PvP on the level 11, other people in the area will then not be able to start beating on the level 11 character. Those 2 individuals will have to duke it out, and in that manner, the person that initiates the PvP will always be at a small disadvantage. Now, that's the way it's just going to be in this particular game. If you have 5 people in your party and you walk up to another group of 5 people in your party, in that party you are going to have someone in your party that is lower level than the people that are in the other party to initiate the PvP, and then those 5 can try to kill the other 5. So if you're going to initiate PvP on another a bunch of individuals, you are going to have a person in your party that is lower level to give you some kind of a disadvantage. Now, I know what you're going to say immediately. What is going to happen if you have 5 people in a party and one of them is level 1 and the other 4 of them are level 100s? Well, that's just the way it is. It's just something that you guys, that I know the game is, there's going to have to be something in there that's going to prevent that from happening. So the level gap will have to be like 10 levels. So if the highest level person in the other party is level 89, then the highest level person in the other party could only be 99, if that makes sense. So if you got an entire party full of level 20s, then the other team would have to have a level 19 in their group, and the highest person could only be level 30, if that makes sense. Whew, what a mouthful. Okay, this video is going way longer than I would want it to, so I need to move right into number 5, which is what's the end game look like, open world bosses, and raiding effects. Okay, so we already covered this a little bit, but I just want to go into it a little bit more. For end game, obviously, you're going to want to continue to raise your character, gain stats, so you can enjoy the hardest aspects of the game. Now, open world bosses will definitely be something that everyone will be able to enjoy. The open world bosses will be announced server-wide every time that one is going to happen, and it will happen at the exact same time every single week. So it will happen on said day at said time, and everyone will be able to go there, everyone will be able to participate, and everyone will get something from that world boss when it and if it dies. It will be at the creator of the game to decide which world boss is going to be spawned at that said time, and it could change from week to week. That's one thing that I really want to see in my MMORPG, is that there is a consistency to how things are evolving and changing so that people don't get bored with the same content over and over again. So I would definitely want to have a team of a few people, then their entire job would be to come up with new raid bosses or world bosses that would spawn on a regular basis. All right, let me just go over real quick as well that there's never been an MMORPG that would have developers stick something completely original into the game on a weekly basis. There's never been a game that would make a said item or a said quest, introduce it into the game for 1 week or 1 month, take it away, and then people have something in the game that's totally original to their character that no one else can get from that point forward, and introduce something like that into the game once a month per se. And that is another thing that will keep people interested in the game. It will offer a diversity of the game. It doesn't have to be something overpowered. It doesn't have to be something that is just crazy amazing every single week. It just has to be something players can get that nobody else can get. That is a major problem with today's MMORPGs, is where everybody goes on the same raids. Sooner or later, everybody has the top tier gear, and there's really no diversity of the gear except for your said skill lines that give you your character a diversity over the other characters. I want to see something where players can get a said piece of gear in the game that is only available to them or a certain small amount of players, and then it goes away so that other players can't get it. And that is just going to continue every said period of time until the diversity of the gear in the game is so broad that everybody is like, wow, where did you get that? And they can say, well, 2 weeks ago I went to this waterfall, and underneath the waterfall there was a quest giver, and I did the quest for this guy, and he gave me these badass boots that let me breathe underwater for said period of time. And the guy's like, oh my god. So the guy runs over there to the waterfall, and as he's going in underneath the waterfall, the quest giver disappears. And the guy goes, no, right? The guy would be crazy. But then the next week, that guy goes back to the waterfall, and there's another quest giver, and he gets sub crazy. You know what I'm saying? I just want to see diversity in the gear. Enough about that. That, my friends, is also the answer to number 6. What makes it original? And that is the answer. Every week or every month, there's going to be something put into the game that will only last for a certain period of time, and then once players do it, the quest, or a certain number of people complete the quest will go away, and then after said period of time, a new quest will pop up over here. So the content of the game itself will always be diversifying, and that is just I know I just blew your mind, right guys? Like, that's impossible. Do you understand the team that you would have to have behind you? Yes, I do understand. The point is that is what's going to bring millions of people into your MMORPG, which then you will be able to hire a team to do things like that, which is what people do not understand right now. It's like when a major theme park MMORPG comes out with new content, everybody runs to it for like 2 months, and then what happens? They lose their entire player base all over again. It declines a little bit this week, it declines a little bit more this next week, and it declines a little bit more the week after that, until what happens? They come out with a new expansion, and then it raises up a little bit and it immediately starts to decline. This would counter that problem, because if people didn't play for a said period of time, they would miss out on all these diversifying effects and make the game much more interesting to hold people's interest. Sorry about that. All right, my friends, thank you so much for watching. That's basically Alpha Centauri Corp in a nutshell. Let me know what you think in the comments. Please subscribe, please like, and please throw me a comment on how you feel about Alpha Centauri Corp. If you think it's cool, if you don't think it's cool, let me know what you're thinking. I really appreciate you. Please subscribe to the channel. You'd be helping me out so much. I'm trying to build this thing so badly. If you are thinking about using any of my ideas in the production of your game, please don't be shy, guys. My email address is adventurewithroger@gmail.com. Please feel free to email me at any time. I'm a real humble guy. I'll get right back to you as soon as I can. Once again, thank you so much for watching. That's going to do it for today, guys. My name is Roger. Thank you so much. I'll see you on my next adventure. Take care of yourself, everyone.